We've lost a good one. John. Coming into contact with John in my life, the impact that he left on me, getting to know him, getting to adventure with him, is something that now that he is not with us, is something that I want to make sure is lived on by others. It is important to talk about stuff like this because lots of the time, the optimism and the excitement around doing adventurous things becomes the biggest picture that's painted. And at least I can say going forward for me, my mountain experiences will be forever different. Having, for the first time in my life, losing someone to the mountains that I also adventured with. And so I don't dare to even venture to hope to capture even a fraction of what made him such a beautiful person and what made him have such an impact on the way that I want to go about my life going forward. But I think it will be a continued conversation for me in some of the stuff that I make going forward, as it's never easy when you're making positive things about adventure to also acknowledge the challenges and the loss and the reality of being in environments that have risk.
Wait, good morning, John. You got your priorities straight. Does that mean you slept?
No.
No?
Okay. The coiling action.
Oh, yes.
One of the next videos I was going to upload on this channel was the longest day I've had in the mountains, and it was actually with John. It was on a local mountain here, and we were going to ski mountaineer to the summit. And that experience is easily one of the top 5 mountain days I've had in my life. I've heard this concept of adventure partners being so important since I was a kid watching these adventure documentaries, and now I play a part in making some of them. And I didn't fully understand how sacred that trust relationship is until I've experienced it in a not healthy way. And it's hard to describe how hopeless it feels to be in a dynamic, in a challenging environment for you personally, and to feel that there's not room to discuss the risk that is happening, that there's not room to discuss the decisions that are being made, that everything's just being offloaded to the most experienced person in the room, and they're not describing how they're arriving at those conclusions. They're not open to making group decisions, and that has been a really not helpful thing in my life. And so to encounter someone like John, who I feel became someone that I trusted so deeply in the sense of, here is a person who is thinking carefully about decisions that get made and is willing to talk it through and is willing to be a great partner in the mountains to someone who knows less than them. Because I see John, John had a lot of experience and he had a lot of ambition, and he was so gracious in the way of having those conversations about decisions for route traveling, for risk, for weather, for learning new skills about how to manage rope, for how to rig a hauling system, for practicing crevasse rescue. Like, doing this with John was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in a long time with someone like that. And getting to go out and do this Garibaldi day was such a special day in my life because it was a culmination of layering of different moments and skills over time. And then the people that you choose to go do an experience like that with is so important, because it's vulnerable to be feeling like you're the least experienced person in a group. And John was just really good at making it feel like, even if that is the case, we are going to make these decisions together and we're going to talk it through.
I wish I had more zoom. I only got a 50. That first 60 kilometers really got to me there. Okay, status update, boss. Status update? Status update. There's the huts, and we're still on a snowmobile track. We'll see how far this gets us. And then should be on the glacier pretty soon.
And that day on Garibaldi was very special for me. It was special to go there with John, and who I saw on that day is someone that I want to keep being more like. And what I mean by that is, on that experience specifically, I was personally at my limit of endurance and capability after some small mistakes I had made. Some mistakes that could have ended up causing some problems. Nothing major with safety, but it required patience from my partners that day with me for the mistake that I made of essentially dropping my jacket all the way down the wrong side of the mountain. And I had to spend hours to go get it. And the result of that was it put us massively behind schedule. And on the return, I had already been digging a pretty big hole endurance-wise. And through the rest of that experience, having to do this massive detour to go pick up a jacket that I dropped, I ended up in a place on that day where I was pretty empty, right? Where I'd hit a wall. You could say I bonked pretty massively. And I just won't forget how gracious John was with me specifically on that day on the way out. Me having not much left, and his patience, having to change plans. And he didn't make me feel anything but a welcomed member of what we were doing, and did not make me feel bad for my mistake, and was optimistic all the way back to the truck. He never at any point was condescending, was belittling, and that ended up being a day that could have gone mentally really bad if I was with different people. The joy of going out on a day and physically and mentally going to a place that I hadn't been before and pushing through, and even as a result of me failing our objective, and yet still having such joyous moments in that day and having the experience of traveling with these people being so positive. Those kind of memories are just forever memories, especially with those people. Like, it's hard to describe how deep of a trust relationship you form with someone when you go to that place together, and then have it be healthy, and to have it be with people who are kind and respectful and want what's best for you and aren't selfish with their own ambitions and summiting this and doing that, and are actually focused on reality and are just so gracious in the way they handle that. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that who John was as an adventure partner that I got to experience impacted me deeply. And I was so excited to have gotten to know him more and the idea of doing more with him. The idea of seeing him do more with his closest people. And John was lost in the mountains shortly after. There's a whole world of people around John that are missing him. And at least before I just go on to just making my next happy adventure video, I want to acknowledge the loss and acknowledge that I want to make sure parts of who John was to me still live on. As we've been moving, the day has simply turned into an absolutely outrageous 11 out of 10 afternoon in the mountains. This is literally my favorite. John, the clouds right above you, I could put like words in them in After Effects and it would look like your thoughts. We've been moving for a while. To the left, like a little hole between the ice.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yo, yo.